And hello and welcome back to Clash of the Titans, round number 3, game number 3, between POZ Cloud and RVK Dogao. Now this is obviously 1v1 on what looks like Baltic, although they're saying that. Last time this map came up, this looks like an identical map to the one that we saw Fate and Doubt play on in their first game. It's obviously, we have a look, it is Baltic, but it's kind of odd. This looks exactly how the Baltic map between Fate and Doubt looked. And of course, down to the bottom of the map, we have got RVK Dogao playing as Vikings. Up to the north in red, we've got POZ Cloud as Vikings, and this is Dogao's home map, so kind of unsurprising that he's chosen to play a water map here, because he is such a strong water map player, and taking the water control, taking control of this lake is going to be so crucial to either of them. Whoever gets this gets the game pretty much. If you are forced to defend on land without fish, without control of the water, it's pretty damn difficult. So obviously both of them playing as Vikings as well, going to be really focusing on getting the water control. 3, most likely 4 docks as well, and spamming galleys all day long, no doubt. So I really think that we're going to see pretty much typical galley build here, but it is certainly possible for either of these guys to send a sneak transport over. If you take a look to the right of the map here, where the sort of river extends out into this lake, this makes a really good place to actually send a transport over. Of course, once you, or if you, lose water control, it's very hard for the opponents, or your opponent, to actually get full coverage of the entire map, especially initially when they might not have too many galleys or war galleys out. Of course, in the last time we saw this map, which was Doubt versus Fate, we saw Doubt spreading out his galleys so quickly, which stopped Fate from being able to make a landing. So if you do win the water, it's not over yet, but you still have to stop your opponent from making a landing. It's so crucial. So hopefully, anyway, we're going to see something a little bit out of the ordinary. Hopefully, if it's not just all-out water, it will be a little bit more interesting, that's for sure. I think we can all agree that watching galleys microed on the water is a little bit dull after a while, but it's not uncommon to see players making landings. So far in this tournament, we've seen some very different styles on these maps, with players a lot of players even, going for landings of sorts and just trying to play it a little bit differently. Both of them then going for their first dock. Of course, Dogao even. I'm back a couple of days. Dogao there with that dock going up 50%, and Cloud taking no risks at all, palisading himself into that so he doesn't get picked off by a scout, but putting that dock up as well, slightly further behind. Not going to make too much difference, of course, because they are only going to be making fishing ships for now. So I'm kind of hoping that we do see something out of the ordinary, as I said. At the moment, it's going to be pretty much standard. Dogao with 5 villagers on wood right there. 5 for Cloud as well. Boars coming in. Deer's being lured in for Cloud, and we should probably take a look at this. Dogao actually, with deer here, going to be pretty difficult for him to lure them towards his TC. So Cloud in a nice position. The fact that he has these deer here is great for him. In fact, if he manages to lure them towards his TC, it could allow him to get up to the feudal age a little bit faster. At the moment, though, Dogao with the population lead, I believe... Well, that's weird. It means he's actually further ahead in terms of... oh, no, never mind. It was just a fishing ship. Yeah, Cloud a little bit slower to get that first fishing ship out, of course, because he's docked. But one thing that is worth noting here is Cloud's actually forced onto shore fish. His dock position wasn't that close to big fish right now, or right here, and that does mean that he's going to want to dock along here. But it also means that for now he's stuck taking shore fish, whereas Dogao taking those big fish in the deep blue sea right there, and very close to his dock as well, which does mean that he's going to be getting significantly more food right now than Cloud is. You see how slowly that number goes down from the shorefish, and compare that to how quickly, I suppose it doesn't really count because there's 3 ships on here, but it's a lot faster, trust me, when you're gathering from deep sea fish than it is from shorefish. Gapping up a couple more sheep here as well. I don't think they're going to be that useful to him, but certainly scouting out the map is going to be useful. But Cloud now, struggling at this stage it seems to get up to feudal, and this is worrying, because of course getting up to feudal in a good time on this map is so crucial. Dogao, as I said, really strong water player, up on 40% on Feudal already, compared to the 15% for Cloud. And that difference, it's not so much at first, but it can make a difference overall, especially as Vikings, where it is cheaper to get those boats out, it's cheaper to get the docks up, and it does mean that Dogao could get himself a little bit of an advantage on the water quite quickly. So that is a little worrying for Cloud right now, and of course it's about taking these extra precautions to make sure these villagers don't get picked off by a stray scout is costing them a little bit of time. It does mean, of course, that this dock's going to be slightly slower to go up, whereas Dogao's got his second dock up already, and he's about to hit Feudal, and he will, of course, be able to make 2 galleys straight away. No problem about that at all. And get his third dock up in a good time as well. So 2 galleys out for Dogao straight away right now. Cloud, of course, just getting up that third dock. And yeah, he is going to be slower to get up to Feudal, but he is going to be having that third dock up slightly sooner, it seems, but I don't think it's going to make much difference, because Dogao already getting those 2 galleys out already, or going to be getting them out in just a moment, and we can see that Cloud here just creating them, whilst Dogao is on 70-80% on the production of that. So Dogao likely then going to have an easier time getting the water, I feel. Of course, Cloud finally just getting up that third dock. Same for Dogao as well, but he's already got 2 galleys out on the water, and the next round are being produced. Now, of course, would be the time for Dogao to try and get a little bit aggressive. He's going to push out. He's going to see that Cloud has no galleys, or he's at least going to see the first round of galleys coming out, and he might pick off some fishing ships right here. Not really a lot to stop him. Cloud there going to lose 1 by looks of things, but you can clearly see right now, with such bad fishing, he's not even invested in those fish. He's actually only made 3 fishing ships compared to Dogao's 4, and that does mean he's got a little bit of surplus wood, does mean that he might be able to take some water back by getting that 4th dock up slightly earlier, and providing he can keep those galleys being produced, he might be alright. So let's see what the gold is looking like. 5 on gold for Cloud there, so clearly intending to go with 4 docks pretty quickly. The 4th dock for Dogao up as well, and Cloud, desperation here. This is a sign of desperation, trying to pick off Dogao's fishing ships before he loses his galleys. Oh, man. Gonna go for the fishing ships where he can, of course. But Dogao getting an advantage already on the water here. Cloud lacking galleys at this stage. And it is a bit worrying for him that going for those fishing ships is a clear sign of desperation. Dogao then going to be able to move straight in. Cloud's army very, very separated at this stage, and he needs the numbers. He needs to keep them together. Dogao, what is this poxy army? I eat armies like this for breakfast. Going to be able to just take them out so quickly. And Cloud, of course, going to make that run for the fishing ships right there, knowing full well that he is losing the water right now. So I suppose in sort of a good way, in a kind of weird, twisted good way, it's kind of good to us that Cloud's lost the water at this stage, because it does mean that he's going to be forced to do something else. It means that he's not going to be forced into a long game-consuming war galley and galleon war. It does mean that he's going to have alternative means of strategy here, and we're probably going to see him take some food, perhaps go for a fast castle, and try from there. Of course, Vikings, without access to fire ships though, does make it a little bit more difficult to regain water control if you do get up to the castle age that much faster. So Dogao then should be adding in fishing ships right now, still adding in those galleys, and I think, that's a common mistake. Continuing with those galleys, even though you've got the water secure, probably wants to be on the safe side, but could pretty much easily get away with adding in 4 fishing ships right now. Poor Cloud, getting absolutely owned right here. And surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, I guess, I was going to say Dogao here, delaying the fletching upgrade. He's really got no reason to research fletching right now. He can save on that wood and gold, and instead get this barracks up and prepare for a land attack, because that's what Cloud has to do. He has to make a landing or attack on land if he's going to have any chance of getting Dogao back right here. Interestingly enough, he has got a blacksmith up, not researching fletching though, so he's not going to actually invest in that. But right now, he's going to lose his docks by the looks of things, but surprisingly, sticking with the galleys. I think this is the wrong move. You know you're that far behind in water, your opponent's going to absolutely take you on the water right now, yet he's still making galleys, he's still going to go for it. Whereas, I think it would have been much better at this stage for him to start adding in farms and concentrate getting up to castle and make some kind of land play. It's going to be difficult either way. And we could see a pretty quick GG here if Dogao continues in this manner. I mean, at the moment though, losing fishing ships, kind of messy from him. Cloud able to get in there with his galleys and take them out. But yeah, it's interesting to me that he's continuing with this. He needs to kind of mix it up a little bit and go with something else. Dogao picking off villagers from the water. And this is yet another reason why it sucks to lose water control. +1 done for Dogao. And archery range is going up as well, so he is going to be getting ready to attack on the land also. And, you know, this is good for him because Cloud isn't planning on going castle. He's not going to have an easy way to defend from this. He's got no barracks. And once these archers do get over to Cloud's base, Cloud going to have absolutely nothing to defend with. So, pretty tough stuff for him. Dogao still creating galleys though. He wants to be sure he's got the water here, and especially you can't blame him. I mean, Cloud still does have 4 docks, so he can still make 4 galleys at a time. And I suppose, you know, Dogao doing the right thing, definitely doing the right thing, keeping up that galley production. Because, of course, Cloud can replenish. And at this stage, you know, Cloud's actually not that far behind in terms of ships, I don't think. 19 to 16. He's kind of actually pulling back right now, surprisingly. I really thought he would have tried to do something a bit different. But Dogao, with this attack on land as well, probably delaying his ship production to allow this to happen, able to attack Cloud on land, going to make a huge difference. A bit of a micro war going on right here, though. And Dogao seemingly with better micro. Hard to say though, neither of them really taking many losses at this stage. Dogao trying to micro his ass off here as much as he can. Cloud though, going back for reinforcements and more galleys coming out. Could this actually mean that he's going to turn it around and actually get back onto the water? He could certainly do it, but Dogao's not going to give him an easy time either way because those archers are going over to his base right now. But yeah, it's kind of surprising. I mean, Cloud actually pulling his way back into water control, considering he had no galleys at one point. He has been able to catch up slightly here, as Dogao did invest in these 2 archery ranges, and of course those archers, allowing him to get back onto the water. So he's going to have to keep that galley production up. Initially I thought, you know, he's actually going to be able to take the water easy, but right now he's lacking a little bit of galley production. If Cloud keeps that up, he could begin to take the water back. But now Dogao, as I said, with the archers, could make a huge dent into Cloud's economy. Cloud is probably assuming that Dogao is up to castle, and you know, he wouldn't be wrong because he is about to click up. Cloud, however, a little bit further away right now, but as I say, Dogao about to click up to castle. Microing quite nicely here with some splits and all of that jazz, trying to take whatever he can from Cloud. But there's the archers going in at the back. And this means a lot of dead villagers for Cloud right here. And if not dead villagers, no gold income. There's GG from Cloud. And I'm not surprised. I mean, it was pretty even on the water once he'd got back on. But as soon as those archers came in, he knew it was over. As I said, nothing to defend with. No barracks down even. So by the time he got a barracks down, he'd be so screwed. Obviously already pushed off of wood here. Going to be struggling to get the resources in for a barracks and an archery range, and too many units to really deal with. Insta GG. Dog going to take it, and that makes it 2-1. Next game, of course, going to be game number 4. It will be a light random, and the winner of that, well, if Dogao wins,